Day 91. There's a program methodology called PERT, which is Program Evaluation and Review Technique. Basically, it's where you list out a bunch of tasks and you give it an optimistic, a pessimistic, and a most likely time. And then you do a formula, and it gives you when the likelihood is of the project being completed based on the tasks. So you could actually apply this in a way to you. What I'm going to pull out of this and talk about today is the most optimistic, the most likely, and the pessimistic. So on the optimistic side, I want you to write down what is the optimistic scenario that will happen, given who you are on to where you want to get to. So for me, the get to point right now is my birthday, like we talked about, 124 days. So at this point, what I became aware of is as I've gotten closer to that date, where in the start it was very far away and I couldn't even visualize what was likely going to happen. Now, as I've coming closer to that date, I have more awareness as to what will be the outcome on my birthday and where my life will be and what the situation will be. You've seen that over the course of this. So I can take and look at an optimistic scenario and I can paint a picture on what life will look like at that point in time optimistically. And I can do it pessimistically, and then I can do a most likely scenario. And I want to be grounded when I do this, and I want to be realistic. You want to use the technique that potentially you're looking at a friend's life and you're giving advice. So pull yourself back, visualize yourself, see yourself in a constructive nature. Try not to write and paint your stories. Try to just be that watcher that Eckhart Tolle talks about, and write out those three different scenarios. And then what you can do is the pessimistic one, you can make sure that what would cause that doesn't happen. So you can set affirmations, you can set ground rules for yourself so that reality won't happen. And then the most likely is the one that will likely happen based on who you are and what you do with your daily life, etc., to get you to that point. And you can live with that if you want. Or you can look to the optimistic one and you could say, okay, where do I need to challenge myself? What is, the critical things that I need to do to make that optimistic reality come true? And then you can apply yourself in some areas like that and morph your most likely scenario into an optimistic one. So if I go back to when we started this, and I haven't watched any of the videos since we created them, I only watch them immediately after completing it to make sure that it's basically acceptable. So if I went back and looked at, day one, I can kind of remember where I was, but certainly as an individual I've changed. But I would want to, in the beginning of my 124 days, write down what's what's optimistic, what's most likely, and what's pessimistic scenario, and commit that to paper. And then throughout the project, maybe on a quarterly fashion, or at least a midpoint, reevaluate and rewrite down where you are and see what the differences are and what else you can do to attract and transform yourself to get that most likely. So for me, I think the most likely will happen, I think, over the course of the past 90 days prior. The situation that my life is in, the demands that I have, the other challenges, workload, etc., has made that most likely come to pass. But, I still have almost a little bit more than a month at this point, and I can certainly try to apply myself, and I have seen that things have increased, from a performance and an execution level. I'm getting better intuition hits. I'm able to get through my challenges faster, etc. So I hope as you go through this, you find yourself in the same point. You might not be to that optimistic best scenario of what you really wanted on an intention level when you started this challenge, but you shouldn't be able to sit there and be in the pessimistic scenario, and you shouldn't be talking down. You should be looking up and be happy with what you have accomplished, because it is another step forward towards that goal. So that's it for today, and let's use that yourself, and let's see what it gets you. Thank you.